this is Ask Brock. I'm Brock Yordy. This week's question comes from Joe. Brock, I was drilling with some high yield bentonite and polymers, and it started to break downhole. What is happening? It's a great question, Joe. We need to know what is happening downhole. Are we in a green space, an urban area, the middle of a field? You know, there's all sorts of X factors that will start to deteriorate bentonite platelets. But what do I know I can do to start out? If I have a good base fluid, you know, I have my makeup water exactly the way I've wanted, pre-treated with soda ash, under 100 parts hard, low chlorides, low chlorine content, I'm in a good spot. And then I start making that bentonite slurry with our polymers, talk with your mud engineers. What viscosity am I looking for? Let's say I'm going to build a 45 viscosity. And now I know I'm going into an area that's got high chlorides or some other X factor that could impact it. What can I do? First, I'm going to get rid of using a high yield bentonite, and I'm going to go to a medium yield or even possibly to a 90 barrel yield, what the oil field uses. What does that mean? If I take 2,000 pounds of said, Newcastle yellow bentonite that's going to become a gel, and I mix it up to say like a mid 40s viscosity, I get 90 barrels. And now I take that same 2,000 pounds and I get 120 to 150 barrels. That's medium yield. And then I take that same 2,000 pounds and I get it up to 220 plus barrels. What did I do? It's all the additive extenders. We've started with that same 50 pounds, but it's how much I've extended it out. And that's what we see with shear degradation and mud pumps, with the centrifugals and whatnot, breaking down those shear points, breaking up those extenders. So I'm going to go with a medium yield bentonite, something 150 barrel yield would be great. And then once I get that mixed up with a good pre-treated makeup water, I'm going to start adding a packed material, polyanionic cellulose. And that packed material, low viscosity, is going to take those bentonite platelets, let's say they look like in between my fingers, and they're going to start to tighten up. They're going to put a webbing. They're going to make a secondary matrix that is going to make it so as I'm drilling, I'm not losing water out into that formation to destabilize, but I'm also not letting that contaminated water, those contaminants in. And by doing that, I can drill on some pretty high chlorides, some pretty high TDS areas, magnesium hardness, that type of stuff. However, if I start drilling and I'm starting to see a sheen on my drilling fluid, it's got a rainbow color, we're getting into hydrocarbons, lignites, other X factor chemicals, PCBs, bentonite does not play well with that. Not many things do. So it's going to start to break it down. And as we see that, we're going to see that free water breakout happen where the water's starting to sit on top of the mud. And that's when we know we're going to need to check those solids, check our fluids, get a toxicity characteristic leaching process, T-clip test done to know what we're getting into, and understand if I'm drilling that geothermal project in an urban area, in a green space, that there's not a Starbucks there and it's a big booming area and there's nothing being built in this park. Why? What's the contaminant? We need to be that skeptical driller at that point and understand that the dry cleaner down the street, the lead fuel depot that was there, what is hitting our fluids and starting to break them down? Because there's a lot more going on. We need to stop. We don't want to take whatever that bad X factor is through that confining layer into a good groundwater source, especially when we're thinking, I just need to get this cathodic hole done or this geothermal hole. We need to be the environmental stewards to say, something's wrong here. My drilling fluids are breaking down. This isn't right. And react to it. Great question. I'd like to know more. Send me some photos. Thanks, Joe.